Tennis is underway, volleyball is serving up a big week. We'll chat with the head lady cat herself, and the Wampus Cat football team kicks off in Fayetteville, and we will get you ready for it. I'm Levi Gilbert, and this is Six Legs. Welcome to Six Legs. I'm Levi Gilbert, and this is your podcast home for all things Wampus Cat and Lady Cat athletics. This show is fan-supported on Patreon, so if you like what you hear today, drop on over to patreon.com/sixlegs and help support the show directly to keep it trucking along. And I'm joined today by my inevitable co-host, one of the voices of the Wampus Cats, the venerable Tim Roach. Tim, how are you?
I'm venerable, obviously, and so very excited to be here. Good to see you, Levi. Can't wait to get started in the season.
You know, I just figured we don't see each other enough, you know? We should just have a whole other time set aside for us to chat.
Let's just record all of our phone conversations and see how that all plays out.
No lie, this is exactly the thought I had was we're already having these conversations. Why not record them?
Yeah, I hear you. Now it's always good to see you though. We've got a lot of good stuff going on, and as you know, I am very much a fan of talking all things Wampus and all things cats. So this is a great conversation. I'm glad to be here.
Oh, well, I'm glad you're here. We're going to start with last week's headlines, and we begin today with your football Wampus Cats, who went on the road Tuesday to face Morrilton, and what has become a scrimmage tradition over the last few years.
Yeah, and it, you know, it's been, what's really been really cool about it is that being a long time, forever Conway. I was born here, so Conway Morrilton was it. Growing up, when my dad was in high school, Conway Morrilton was it. I mean, that was the entire both towns showed up. They surrounded the track, and you didn't get to leave until it was over with. And so, what's been surprising though is that up until this past week, and I don't think it was really, you know, all chippy this past week, but they've been chippy and it's been intense. I mean, it's been scrimmage, but they played pretty hard for a scrimmage. So yeah.
Well, hey, the Wampus Cat offense put up 20 points in a quarter and mostly in second quarter. The defense pitched a shutout, had 4 turnovers in a shortened scrimmage. So it was already supposed to just be one half, but a storm ended things early, and you wisely got the two of us out of there before it came a downpour.
Yeah, the guy behind us as we were leaving said, if the guy with the radar on his phone is leaving, maybe we should all leave. But before we left, though, some really good things I thought, Levi. You know, second year Coach Kelly, a lot of changes. You know, you're down Ben Weiss, who was really arguably the most prolific passer in the state last year, and Bryce Bohannon also. I think the best receiver in the state last year as well. So those folks are gone. Jaden Williams is gone. And so there was a lot of gaps to fill. The young defense had to grow up again. And so saw some good things, saw some really good things. And I know they had a lot to work on after it. So I'm hopeful from what I saw. I think things are going to be okay.
Yeah, and we're going to dive into all things football in the next segment of the show, so just hold on for that.
Okay.
Let's move to tennis. The Lady Cats scrimmaged against Cersei and Mountain Home last Tuesday, splitting 6 matches against the 2 squads. And then on Thursday, varsity Lady Cats went 4 for 4 against Bologna, and JV won 2 out of 3. The Lady Cats are coached by LaShonta Johnson and started training in mid-July, and they'll be back in action Monday, and then we'll travel to Van Buren on Thursday. Moving to the boys tennis team, the Wampus Cats also faced the same schedule last week. You're going to probably see that every single week, right? Cersei and Mountain Home in a tri-match last Tuesday. And if you don't know what a tri-match is, big thanks to Coach James Bates for explaining it to me. It means they played 3 singles matches and 3 doubles matches. So new vocabulary word for you sports fans out there. The Wampus Cats won all 3 singles matches against Mountain Home and went 1-2 in doubles. The Cats swept all 3 singles matches against Cersei, but were unable to play the doubles matches due to darkness because I guess there's no lights at the Cersei courts. So important, important thing to know. Thursday, they played host to Bologna. The Wampus Cats won 3 of 4 singles matches and split 2-2 in doubles. And senior John Michael Maynard and sophomore Trey Lemieux are both 3-0 on the year. Senior Cooper Teague and junior Tanner New are 2-0. And senior Brody Wilson, junior Denver Norman, and sophomore Padre Easley, am I saying that right? Maybe? I hope. Are 2-1. And the Wampus Cat tennis team will be back in action Monday. We'll travel to Van Buren on Thursday for another tri-match with the Pointers and Rogers Heritage. Now to Lady Cat volleyball. The Lady Cats hosted a jamboree scrimmage with Valonia, Greenbrier, and Cabot last Thursday. And, I think you mentioned this to me, 2 different courts going on. So a lot of stuff happening.
Yeah, there was, and they brought their fans for this thing. I mean, last year was such a weird year for volleyball, for all the sports. And so you finally, getting in a high school environment, everybody get together. You got 4 teams to play it out. 2 courts going at the same time. It's a lot like travel volleyball. And so everybody that was there was used to that kind of format for just some, knocking the ball around. And according to Coach Crow, it was a well turned out event.
Yeah, that's awesome. Lady Cats travel to Russellville Tuesday, take on the Lady Cyclones, and then play host to Benton on Thursday. So your first chance, well, I mean, if you went to the Jamboree, then you've already seen them at home. But the next real chance for them at home is Thursday against Benton. And then they're going to be hitting the road and playing in the Bentonville tournament this weekend. And I imagine, I got to imagine there's going to be a lot of competition going on in that tournament.
Northwest Arkansas is anything that goes on volleyball wise up in Northwest Arkansas is going to be intense. They got Fayetteville, Bentonville, the teams that travel from the Central to go up there. It's a big event. And for volleyball, you kind of figure out real early on here where the power of volleyball is, and it trades places. Is it Northwest Arkansas this year, or is it Central Arkansas? I got my money on Central Arkansas.
Yeah, I bet you do. And hey, we'll chat with head coach Laura Crow a little bit later in the show, so can't wait for that. And we close the headlines with the inaugural basketball skills clinic being hosted by, get this, Jordan Danbury and Alexis Tolfree on August 29th in the Conway High Old Gym. It's for all girls ages 12 and up, $50 per camper. You can find out more at thegymsports.org. That's gym as in GEM. So thegymsports.org. Now, listen, I don't have a daughter of playing age for this kind of thing, but man, if I did, could you imagine?
Jordan Denberry and Alexis Tolfree? Are you kidding me?
This is insane. I mean, I kind of want to sign up.
Well, you know what? Hopefully somebody will suggest to them, how about a game of 21 just between the 2 of you and just see what happens.
Oh gosh, man, it's gonna be so amazing. Wow, I can't wait. All right, we move now to this week's topic of the show, and it shouldn't be much of a surprise. I mean, Tim, it's finally here. The 2021 football season is upon us, and we're gonna dive deep into this. We're gonna look ahead to Fayetteville this Friday. Of course, you'll be able to watch all of that with Tim and myself Friday, starting at 6:30 on Conway Corp channels 5 and 585, and on YouTube as well. And Tim, before we look at Fayetteville and dive into all that, just how you feeling? What's the overall state of Tim as we enter this second? You already mentioned it a little earlier. This second season with Mark Kelly at the helm of the offense and all this talent you have coming back.
I felt good until I started naming off all the people that were going to be gone.
Right.
And then I started feeling a little bit more depressed about it, but it's the way things are. We had, I think to look forward, you got to look back just for a little bit. And so how I'm feeling is based upon how things went last year. And I thought with so many unknowns You had a couple of things you knew. You knew that Bryce Bohannon was going to be good. You knew Jaden Williams was going to be good. But you really, other than that, you really didn't know a whole heck of a lot, and you had a
Mm.
new offensive coordinator. So I do feel, I will tell you, I feel like we're going to be. I know the expectations are high, so it's hard to say we're going to be better than what people think we are. But I think, like everybody else, they're going to look at us and go, "They lost so much, so many skilled players." But guess what? Based upon what I've seen in practice and what conversations I've had with coaches, we're stacked. Skill players wise, I don't know that we've had this many skilled players in one team in a long while. So I'm super excited about what the season holds.
Well, let's go ahead and start on the offensive side because that's where we know a lot, but we also have some big question marks happening right here at the start. As you know, let's just talk about what Coach Kelly was able to do the first year with a first time starting at the varsity level quarterback. Oh yeah, what did he do? Ben Weiss over 3,500 yards, over 40 touchdowns passing. The number one passer in the state of Arkansas on his first try, and now Coach Kelly's had a full offseason. He's had more opportunity to install his offense and get it more ingrained with this crew. You had a junior in the waiting room ready to step up in Sam Gregg, and then unfortunately, as we found out this past week, we went to the scrimmage. He wasn't dressed out, and we've since found out that he is not going to be starting at quarterback to start the season, at least, as he's out with an injury to his hand. So now you're turning to sophomores with one uh, who got all the snaps Tuesday at the scrimmage, Donovan Omolo.
Yeah, but here's the thing, Levi. So yes, I will step back and say I thought Coach Kelly magically worked with Ben Weiss. Ben is a super athlete, and we you
Mhm.
could see all that all year long. But he did wonders with just one prep, one spring. Actually, didn't get a lot of spring, got summer,
Right.
and then right into the fall, right? And there was a question as to who was going to be even starting as at quarterback up until the first game, and they kind of laid it out, and then from there it was obvious. So here's the thing though about Sam. It's going to be an absolute miss that he's not there. Uh, he was
Yeah.
the heir apparent. He was going to be the guy, right? And but he plays baseball. He's second baseman for the Wampus Cat baseball team, and he's a really good second baseman. So they played all of spring, most of spring, almost all of spring was baseball for Sam Gregg.
Yeah.
And the way baseball is, it's full all on. I mean, it's you don't get okay, we're going to go practice baseball and you play your game, but then you're going to come over and do football. That didn't happen like that. So all spring they brought over the ninth graders into play, and so Donovan Amolo, David Paglianiti both got significant time as freshmen moving up into the high school level. And so then Sam came in right at the very end. So they got some extra time in. And so
Yeah.
the problem is it's sophomores, right? And you're playing against the best athletes in the state at this level. So yeah, I mean, they got their hands full.
And I wanna say this because it's so important, and I want I know Sam Gregg knows this already, but just from two outsiders, right? We got to sit down for a good amount of time with Coach Fimple and with Coach Kelly a few weeks ago, and both of them were so high on Sam Gregg. I mean, they were so excited about him. So it is a huge loss. But Mark Kelly was also really excited about Donovan, and he was even talking about we want to find ways to get him involved, where we can. Well, now he's definitely gonna be involved, and you know what? We got to see him some at Meet the Cats, right? And then obviously we got to see a lot of him in the shortened scrimmage at Morrilton. And I feel like obviously they're going to have to rely on the run game and establish that early in these first three non-conference games. But He's a lefty, so that gives him a slightly different look that I don't know the last time that Conway had a left-handed quarterback. Um, but he's got wheels on him too, and he's big. He's a tall kid. I I think what we saw from the scrimmage, they did a lot of well, I mean, it's the Conway offense, right? There's a lot of quick decisions. You're not just dropping back forever. There are those sets, right? But it's a lot of quick passes, and I think that can only help a sophomore quarterback help gain some confidence, especially if we can get that running game going and give him a breather.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. And but the good news is, if you're going to try to depend upon, or at least get the running game going to be able to loosen up what it is normally, it's the opposite, right? What we saw last year was, you're going to throw the ball and that's going to loosen up the run, and then you're going to pop the big runs. We saw that with Jamal Bethune. You saw it with Boogie Carr, and so, and with Manny Smith. I mean, it was on and on and on. So what you saw last year is a setup is now switched. And here's the thing: you need a good offensive line, and you need an offensive coordinator who knows how to mix it up and mix it in there. We've got both of those. We have a
Mhm.
really good, solid offensive line. I know you talked to Coach Fimple, and he's very excited about what he sees in the offensive line. Um, and the other thing is that in the scrimmage, what you saw was those dump passes that we've seen out of Ben Weiss last year. But they have to do that. You really have to be worried about the run. You've got Boogie Carr, Manny Smith, um, you have Lala Smith, which is Manny's
Mhm.
brother. It's going to be there. We have a transfer in from Texas who showed some real pop in the scrimmage. And so I think if you, and this is a long winded answer, and I apologize for that, but I'm very excited about this part of it. You hit upon the one piece that I was really excited about is that Coach Kelly said this, and I thought this was interesting. The first quarter of the Fayetteville game last year, the first game, we were down 14-0 to start the ball game.
Mhm.
Everybody, and I was thinking, well, Fayetteville's they came in number 2 in the state. It's, we were brand new. Ben Weiss, he's a great guy and a great athlete, but can he really play quarterback? Okay, well, so it took him till the second quarter, and then things began to click. Coach Kelly said it really didn't start to click until North Little Rock.
Yeah. Yeah.
So with Donovan, if he's going to be the starter, and we think he could be, um, you're gonna see some reps. You're gonna see some things happen, and I bet we'll see by the time we get to conference play, he'll be in good spot.
Yeah. Again, I'm totally bummed about Sam Gregg. Everybody is. It's awful. It sucks. The bright side is he's not a senior, and so I kind of it made me think of it wasn't Parker Teague. It was Andrew Rhea, right? Was that a couple years ago? He got hurt his junior year and then came back his senior year and started, and they had a great year that year. Um, so again, totally bummed about Sam Gregg, but I I'm not as concerned as you normally would be when you lose your number one, just based on how excited and how high they've been on Donovan and Paglianiti. So I think they're probably deeper at quarterback than really the Wampus Cats have been since at least since I've been in the broadcast booth, since 2016. I mean, it seems like they've really got some depth there. So you know, some excitement there. Let's talk about the rest of the backfield. Running back, it all starts with Boogie Carr. Had almost 500 yards rushing a year ago, almost 300 yards receiving as a sophomore, and he looks primed to be the number one guy. You mentioned Lala Smith. You mentioned the running back from Texas, Jalen Chambers, that's transferred in. There was another number 22, I think Desmond Davidson, sophomore. It seems as deep as we're talking about quarterback, and I know we're going to talk about it at receiver because they're crazy deep at receiver. Seems like a running back is a pretty deep position for them too.
Yeah, I remember. So I got started football at an early age, and I played Optimus football. So I've had, and I love football, as everybody knows, but Optimus football is a lot of fun. So I got to do the PA one year, and when Boogie was in sixth grade and he played for the Jets, up in the booth, and very quickly you could tell his Jamarian Carr is his name,
Yeah.
and I was calling Carr, Jamarian Carr, right, left, touchdown, pass, at all, and so and I was like, man, this guy can really play. He's a really good athlete. And the back door to the to the press box opened up, and I say press box, it was a wooden box that was up on stilts, basically. And this guy comes in. It had to be a member of the family, and he told me, he said, um, a very polite gentleman, and said, um, "Hey, Jamarian Carr, he likes to go by the name Boogie." You could not have jumped any higher. I was, that's his name. It is all day. And so it became Boogie Carr right, Boogie Carr left, Boogie, 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 Boogie. So I knew early on that Boogie Carr was going to be special. And we've seen a lot of these guys that are special on Friday nights start up in the Optimist Club and work all the way through the seventh grade program, through all the great coaches that we have at all the middle schools. Coach Mallett, Coach Prince at the junior high. So these guys have made it through. And the running backs, for whatever reason, this crew of running backs, special. Lala Smith, you got to watch out for him. We know what Boogie Carr can do. Boogie is bigger. I questioned him last year if he could really get the pace of the game right. Do you remember me saying that? It's ridiculous. It was absolutely ridiculous how I could question Boogie. But so you got Boogie Carr, Lala Smith. You got the guy from Texas,
Jalen Chambers.
Jalen Chambers. You got Manny Smith. Manny Smith. Well, we can talk about receivers in a little bit. I get ahead of myself, but I believe at running back, Jamal Bethune was such a great running back because he was a change of pace guy. He was the gap shooter, and I know he's gone. Get ready for Lala Smith. This guy is fantastic at that.
Yeah, it's exciting. And you talking about Boogie. What always excites me is when we see players on the field as sophomores, because especially at these skill positions. I mean, think about Bryce, Boogie last year, Giovanni as a sophomore, Braylon Smith. When you see sophomores getting on the field, that's when I get really excited because they must be very, very good if they're being trusted to be out there as a sophomore.
Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, because there are some absolute beasts on defense in the 7A. I mean, the guys that are in the 7A on the defensive side, they go to places like Arkansas, Ole Miss, LSU. These cats are really good. And so if you're just really average as a running back, you'll get lost very quickly. And so I think we just have some really good running backs.
All right, let's talk about the receivers. Wes Boudreaux coming back. He was a starter last year. Manny Smith in the other slot. Then you've got some people that we haven't gotten to see a lot on the varsity level. I know you've seen them playing JV ball last year. Lane Collins, TJ Mickens. The list goes on and on and on. I'm trying to find my notes from when we met with Coach Kelly because he was saying they were like 8 or 9 deep at receiver.
Well, and so there is. I mean, it's excited I am is about the running backs and the offensive line. By the way, love our offensive line. The receivers are just. I mean, it's just we are weird in terms of how much talent there is there. West, we saw what he could do late in the season. This past season, he really started to come on. I don't know if you remember that or not. He caught a few balls early on, did some good things, but then boy, conference play started and he was absolutely killing it towards the end of the season.
Yeah, I remember we just kept waiting for him to get in the end zone, right? Because every game he was making catches, he was moving the chains. And I just remember when he finally did score, because it was a little like the middle of the season, I think, maybe even on the second half. When he finally scored, we were both so excited because he had just been putting in so much work. It was good to see him finally in the end zone.
Yeah. So Wes is going to be great. Talk about Lane Collins. Saw him in the JV games last year. Really came on towards the end of the year. And when you see Lane, he'll stand out. He's tall kid, good speed, great hands, runs fantastic routes. He reminds me, if you watched last year, Micah Mosby. He's kind of that
Yeah.
in that frame.
Yeah. Here's some other names to keep your eyes and ears poised for, because it's crazy. Coach Kelly kept talking about all these. He just kept listing names at receiver, and was like, these guys would be starters anywhere else. I mean, that's just how deep we are. But Clay Fisher, Rome Fields, Will Vent. They keep talking about Jackson Anderson. Chris O'Neill's a name that's been thrown out there. There's just so much depth at receiver.
How in the world? How can you get on the field when you've got Lane Cullums, Wes Boudreaux, you've got Manny Smith, you've got Rome Fields? I mean, how are some of these younger guys going to do that? And how they do that is by being incredible athletes. So you mentioned Chris O'Neill, you mentioned it was Jackson Anderson, I think is the name you mentioned.
Mhm.
There's some youth there. If they can figure out exactly how the offense works, it's not going to be anything else other than that. I mean, sometimes it takes a little while to get the speed right, but those are elite athletes. I've watched those guys play all the way through, from optimists all the way through, and they've dominated at every level. And Coach Kelly believes they can dominate at this level.
Before we move on to the offensive line, we have got to take a moment. I don't feel like we've talked about him enough. I mean, we've said his name several times, but we've got to talk about Manny Smith. Okay. Senior year, he's changed the number. So if you guys are out there and you're looking for 24, you're going to be looking a lot. He's number one now. And just what he's been able to do over the last 2 seasons, and a lot of that time fighting injuries and still being able to get out there and produce. I am I don't even know if I have the words for how excited I am for this season. If he can stay healthy, I truly believe that he is primed for one of the all-time Wampus Cat seasons. I'm saying that after watching Bryce Bohannon do it a year ago.
Yeah. Well, so here's the thing. I don't think that I'm going to be telling any secrets, but to anybody that would watch this prior to the game, Manny Smith is an absolute elite athlete. And you kept thinking, and I've watched him now again. He was at the same school as my son, Jack. They played in the 7th grade together. I watched him in Optimus, and he was a difference maker then. In 7th grade, and I think I've told you this story, but the first 2 times he touched the ball, the first play of the season, it was against Bryant in 7th grade, and he took a pitch and went 70 yards for a touchdown. The next
Mm.
time he got the ball, 70 yards for a touchdown. And then as the season wore on, it happened all the time. The first play was always Manny Smith right or left, and he was going the distance. He did it 4 or 5 times to start a ball game in 7th grade. And the coaches, I talked to Coach Lampy. I said, what's going on? He goes, they know it's coming and they cannot stop it. They cannot stop it. That was in 7th grade. So yeah, you move forward in junior high, did the same thing there. You get into high school, and I think the first time he scored was against El Dorado in kind of a coming off the bench mode, because we had a couple of running backs get hurt. We didn't even know if we'd seen.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was crazy. Yeah.
But so Manny Smith. So this guy, I've watched him all summer long. Football's a little bit different, and now they have kind of travel ball for football, and they play these 7-on-7s all summer long. If you go back, if you find a chance to find it either on YouTube or Twitter, watch some of Manny Smith's 7-on-7. And this is a game where you just have to get the flag. Basically, it's almost like flag football, right? And that's
Yeah.
really kind of what it is. And they could not get his flag.
Can't do it.
Couldn't catch him. They could not catch him. He's just a special guy. He's a leader. He's a leader in the locker room. He's a leader on the field. He will not lose. He cannot stand to lose. And so, to your point, if he stays healthy, Manny Smith could rewrite a lot of records books.
Can't wait. I can't wait to call his name. Can't wait to call all these receivers' names. It's gonna be so much fun. All right, let's talk about the offensive line. I'm just gonna throw some names out at you: Aaron Smith, Maurice Moody, Nicholas Childress, Nick DeBoard, Sean Tufu. Uh, the way it was described to me, I mean, Coach Fimple just glowing about these five and finally being able to get them together. But it was a conversation with Coach Kelly. He just came out and said it. He's like, stack them up against the best in the state. I mean, he really feels that way. And the fact that they finally had a full offseason, they are feeling really good about this offensive line.
Yeah, and there's not really. I mean, I think Aaron is pretty good size.
6'6", I believe, is what they said.
Does but and so we have. It seems like we have one of those, like Rob Scott, Big Rob, Jaden last year
Jaden,
as he
yeah.
switched to tackle. But really, we're not huge. But I can tell you, and again, I've followed the offensive line pretty closely for the number of years. Tufu is just a junior. He started as a sophomore. Nick DeBoard is a beast. They call him Debo, and he's an absolute beast. He got hurt in Jonesboro, tore his ACL last year, and so we lost him after the Jonesboro game. He's rehabbed his rear end off and is back. He's a defensive lineman mentality for the offensive line. Love watching him play.
Yeah, and I mean that was part of the reason, right, that Jaden had to make that move after that injury. Yeah.
Injuries. Yeah. Then you got Nick Childers, who is at center, and he's played there. He started there last year, so he started as a junior. So we have a lot of experience on this line. And but here's the thing again, those guys are not really big, but they move well as a team. And so the offensive line, a lot of times what that is about, can you know what your job is? Can you move together? Can you orchestrate one another? Can you really dance? I mean, that's really kind of what it is. You don't want to run over everybody. You want to be able to dance. And these guys can dance. And so I feel very comfortable. Now, I don't know how deep we are. I think that you have to, hopefully we've got some folks lined up behind that. But the starting five, I love.
Yeah, from the conversation we had with Fimple and Kelly a few weeks ago, it seemed like the five that they have, they kind of got late to them, just different reasons, right? Injuries, people being out, so they feel really good about the five now. But part of when they didn't have it solidified, there were a lot of people working in, and so it seemed like they were pretty happy with the depth that they've been able to establish there. So you know, Colton Jackson, Gavin De Los Santos, those guys doing an awesome job with the O line. All right, let's move to the defense, because this is where it's weird. It's like a combination of certainties and uncertainties all mixed in together is how I'm feeling. Not, I'm not worried that, and that may sound worse than what I really mean. It's just, we know the secondary, right? It may be a mix every week. There may be people moving around. In fact, there's some names that are moving from the secondary to linebacker, or might have to move from linebacker back out to the secondary. But there's a lot of depth there, right? I mean, pretty much all four in the secondary returning starters or have starting experience. Linebacker is where I think we have the most questions right now. Defensive line, and then it seems like we're maybe going to see some changes on the defensive line in terms of what we've been used to seeing the last 3 years.
Yeah, I don't want to spill it, but I mean, I know that Fayetteville has seen the game film, so they kind of know what's out there. But they've made a scheme change, and it's really there's a lot to that. Some of that is, what do you have at your disposal? Where are you strong? And then trying to fit that. And it's also about who you're playing. I mean, my gosh, everybody in the state knows how good Bryant was last year, and they're going to be good again this year. And North Little Rock's going to be good, and Cabot's going to be good. And so we've got, and of course we start off the season just playing at Fayetteville, at Bentonville. So we're not taking any nights off. So you defensively, you have to kind of look and see where your players are and what can they do, and who you're playing against, and go, all right, well, let's make that fit. I mean, it's not one of those situations where you just say, this is what we're going to run. This is the defense we have. Back in the day, that's how you did it. You were a 5-4 defense. You were a 4-3 defense. You were a 3-4. And that's just how you played. You lined up and you said, okay, what do I need to go? It's not that way. There's a lot of changing fronts now. I mean, you can say, I mean, like Fayetteville, we can talk about Fayetteville. I mean, their base could be they're a 3-4 base, but depending upon the situation, they'll put up 4. They could put up 5 on the front, and so it really does change by that. But I do think defensively they've made some changes that it's going to allow them to use their talent a little bit better.
Yeah, DeMarco McKenzie, Marquise Stuckett, Kieran Duncan, Ethan Winningham, some names you'll probably see on the defensive line. Maurice Freeman, Preston Prock. You're gonna see them in all kinds of different places. I'm just gonna say it's gonna be exciting. Glad Mo Freeman. He's got such a unique body that, I mean, he can kind of play anywhere. Preston Prock. We talked about the number change for Manny Smith. Number change alert for Preston Prock. 59 now. No more. It was 34 last year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
59 because his I mean it's such a tragic story, but his dad passed away this summer. Robin Prock, who played football at Conway, was an elite athlete at UCA, and so Coach Fimple honored him by giving him his dad's number, and so that's a great move by Coach Fimple, and we're praying for the whole Prock family on that situation. Preston has really, I mean, he's hyper focused at times, and so I know that he'll have a good year. I mean, it's just going to be one of those things. But he's, if you look at Preston, the size of him as a sophomore, he stood out, and you were like, "Wow,
Yeah.
who's this guy? Oh, he's a sophomore." So, and they're going to have him on the end mostly, but to your point, can play linebacker, could play and cover the pass in the flat. The guy's just really fast, really big, very good skills, good instincts. Last year, he made a lot of plays just on instinct. I mean, it was just how he goes. I think even though there's a lot of question marks at linebacker, Levi, I think we have the potential to be good there. There's some folks that can really move. We're going to be moving some of our personnel around to play, to kind of bring up into the spot there. It'll be interesting to see what they do with Ashton Waller as an example.
Right.
Here's a guy that, I mean, he plays safety. He's got a safety body, but the way we play our linebackers, man, he's perfect for that. Filling in the flats, can blitz. He's a hard hitter, as you know, but got great hands.
Yeah.
He's basically a quarterback on defense. I mean, the guy can play any position really.
Yeah, Grayson Allen, another one we saw in the middle, and Morrilton. And then secondary, I mean, Troy Wiseman, Traylon McClure, Trey Roberts. Now, I think Trey, from what I understand, has been battling a little bit of an injury. So, who knows what we're going to see him. Oh, is he? Okay, great. That makes me excited.
Yeah. So safety wise, I think, you got Traylon McClure, and I went back and watched some of the, I've been watching the Cats all month long, watching some of the replays, and Traylon and Troy, both, and Ashton, all 3 played as sophomores. They were all 3 starters as sophomores. So they've been back there every year. I mean, Traylon McClure is a ball hog. I mean, the guy can flat out fly, has great hands, could really be playing offense. I mean, they'd like to have him as a wide receiver, but he's just too valuable on the defensive side. Trey Roberts, incredibly gifted athlete in terms of where to go, how to do it, what to play, and he's the stick. I mean, I give him a hard time because I know him pretty well, but he will absolutely light you out. He's a really nice guy, very friendly, and then will absolutely lay you out on the field. And so, which is great. But then we've got a guy that we got in from Morrilton, who could play as well.
Yeah, let me go find his name. I had it written down. Last name's Ware, I believe.
Yeah, that's correct. He's a senior.
Javion.
Davey, yeah. So he's going to play. They got a guy named Q who's going to play out there. I feel last year, defensively, we struggled. Let's just be honest. Let's call it what it is. I mean, we gave up 7 touchdowns against Cabot in the second half. That was a track meet. What a great, that's going to be on the air, I think, this next week. What a great ball game, because we won.
Well, to be fair too, they couldn't stop anything that Bryce Bohannon was doing. So
you'd think at some point they'd go, "Hey, fine, 20," just like we struggled with Hayden Schrader.
Let's not talk about that.
Yeah. So anyway, so defensively we struggled last year. but that was a lot of that was youth, and we knew that going in. And so really these days, the offense has the advantage just about across the board. So you got to figure out a way to get a few stops. Don't let the big plays happen,
Well, here's what I loved about that scrimmage was, yeah, obviously you're playing down a couple classifications, but Morrilton, they're talented. I mean, it's not some scrub that you're playing. But here's what I loved about it. This is a team that you should handle well, that you should beat, you know. They didn't let them score, and they forced 4 turnovers in a half of football. So, yeah, there's some questions about who's gonna be where on any given down that we're gonna have to figure that stuff out. But obviously, they're creating just as many turnovers as they were a year ago, and that excites me.
Well, yeah, I was just going to say last year that kept us probably in a couple of ball games in terms of getting just that greatest push over the edge to win the ball game was turnovers. When we had picks and fumbles and special
Mhm.
team play that really, I mean, we had the whole package last year. We just ran into a buzzsaw, unfortunately.
Yeah. All right, Adrian Mejia, sophomore kicker. How many how many times do we see somebody starting as a freshman, let alone as a kicker? I mean,
You don't.
just
I can answer it for
crazy.
you. You don't. You don't see that, and you might see it in like double A ball, and not to knock double A ball, but you just don't have a lot of kids that can play. You don't have big rosters. This a
Yeah.
ninth grader, and did he have the strongest of leg last year? No, but could he put it through the uprights consistently? Yes. So have already seen him this year. He looks different. He's a sophomore, but boy, he's filled out. The ball is popping off of his foot
Mhm.
much stronger than it was last year. So I'm not worried at all about him. I think he's going to be. I think he's going to. By the time he gets done, because he started as a freshman, he could be the kicking leader for the Wampus
Oh
Cats
yeah.
historically. By the time he's done.
6 of 8 from on field goals a year ago, 59 for 61 on PATs. So excited to see that. Now, here's one thing that I don't even think I've really thought about until this moment. And it's another huge downside on the Sam Gregg story is punting. I mean, Sam Gregg, you talked about it all throughout the season about what he was able to do in the JV games, and he was really good at doing punting from the shotgun, which we saw Ben Weiss do quite a bit. That's going to be a question mark now, but I know that they're going to want to keep the offense on the field on 4th downs as much as possible. So it's going to be something that they're gonna have to figure out. And maybe we see Ashton Waller back there sometime. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, so as I said before, I mean, he is a quarterback background. I mean, in the 7th grade, he played quarterback. He played that in junior high. So I mean, he can absolutely handle the ball. And so that I don't think they would have any trouble saying, okay, get back there and be able to run a small package as a quarterback if they get out there and try to make a decision. I haven't seen Donovan kick. I would imagine that Paglianiti can kick. He is an absolute beast of a football player. He also does not look like a sophomore. Um, but but I do think, as long as you can get it off and get it above, I hate to say this, as long as you can get it off and get it above everybody,
Right.
because they have to defend the pass and defend the offense. If you can get it to roll out, it's going to be fine. So
Yeah.
I do think it's a problem because Sam Gregg really could kick the ball well. So until he gets back in, as long as he's out, we'll have to figure that out.
A few other new names that you'll be seeing on the sidelines: Cameron. I almost said Roach. Cameron Wright, coming from UAPB, is going to be coaching the corners. Was at Watson Chapel, and then Anthony Robinson, not a new name, but he's moving over to the receivers where Coach Lampy was. Coach Lampy taking over the 7th grade program at Carl Stewart, or is it the other one? Okay, yeah. So a little bit of movement there, but for the most part, this coaching staff pretty much intact from a year ago.
Yeah, and I don't know anything about Cameron. and know a little bit about Anthony. So, but I know this about Coach Fimple. He really does pride himself in the kinds of assistants that he has in his coaching staff. So I trust Coach Fimple in that decision. One thing about Coach Lampy, I will say this: Coach Lampy is going to be missed at the high school level. He is such a great guy, but he's also a great motivator. He's great with the young men. He's actually great with the entire staff. I mean, he's just that kind of guy. But here's what I like about it: he's going to Carl Stewart, and they will be a great program because of him. And so the feeder organizations into our program just got better. And not that Stephen Moore was doing he was doing a fantastic job. I'm glad that he's moving into being an administrator at Ellen Smith. This is a great opportunity for Coach Lampy to really do some good things down low.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's look at Fayetteville. I mean, we just talked for a long time about us. Let's talk a little bit about our first opponent, week 0, coming up this Friday. Fayetteville, a team that we came from behind and beat at home a year ago, and this is a team that a lot of missing names on the offensive side of the ball. They had a lot of senior starters a year ago, but a very talented defense, and got some new help coming in. What can you tell us about the Bulldogs as you've been doing your prep?
Yeah, so Fayetteville's always, they had a tough year last year, but they're always going to be good. I mean, they've got too much talent up there to not be good. They've got a lot of good resources. Casey Dick is a really good coach, and so they're going to be all right. Down year a little bit last year, they started figuring out that a 3-game win streak until what happened against Central in the playoffs, and so that's who we were going to be playing until the unfortunate incident at the end of the ball game that cost the ball game.
We were this close to traveling to Fayetteville. Yeah.
Oh, I had turned it off. I was in my car and turned it off and said, well, okay, let's hook it up and go to Fayetteville and get back. And Jack goes, hey, guess what? We get to stay home. And I was like, nah, son, it's not that way. But anyway, so we did. So, but the quarterback though, so let's start on their offensive side. The quarterback looks to be Bladen Fike, who was the quarterback towards the end of the year last year and had him really going. I mean, they were putting up some points. Now, it wasn't against the elite of Northwest Arkansas, right? Yeah. So they struggled against the teams that could really, play that were the upper echelon. So they struggled a little bit there, but they've got a guy, Isaiah Satania, who is everybody's All-State. He committed to Oregon. He's a track star. We held him at bay last year. I mean, he caught a couple of balls, but Levi, he didn't hurt us last year. That probably is not going to be the case this year. He's just too good to hold down. So I expect him to do it. They lost their running backs. They had 2 running backs that were both seniors. So I've watched the game film. They've got some hard runners though at running back. So I don't think they're going to be too far off there, but they had a really good running back last year. I think his name was Ingram last year.
Yeah.
He was really good, and he could be a problem. So I don't think they liked the way that we put it on them.
Yeah, I'm looking at the final stats from that game a year ago. So we held Satania to 4 catches for 51 yards. And they just kind of spread it around. He was their leading receiver, but here's the thing that's crazy to me, right? It was 14-0 at the end of 1, right? Well, the Wampus Cats then proceeded to score 38 unanswered points. Yeah. Wild.
Yeah, it was every way you could imagine. It was a great run. It was
the kickoff return by Bryce Bohannon.
But to start, we right before the end of the first half, in the second quarter, Satania fumbled a kickoff, and we picked it up and ran it into the end zone for a score. And then you turn around, we get the ball back to start the second half, and we take it to the house. So it was really, at that point, you just you got to feel bad for the Fayetteville guys, but they were just let's get to the bus at some point in time, right? So I think they've got that circled on the calendar. They want to get off to a better start. Casey Dick is like, we're going to get off to a better start. Plus, we're going to go to their place.
Yeah.
Plus it's going to be, everybody's 0-0. Nobody's worried about anything yet other than just winning. So they're going to have their crowd there. I hope we travel well. We're going to be there. But
absolutely.
So it's hard, and it's a hard place to win. It just is. It's a hard place to win. But so, and we're talking about some of the talent they have. So I think offensively they're talented. They lost some offensive linemen as well, but they look decent against Greenwood. I don't think they were showing out everything that they could show. Blyden Fight can throw the ball. He's a good manager of the football. So they've got some things to worry about offensively.
Yeah. Now let's talk about what we have to worry about when we're on offense, because this defense, they already had one of the best linebackers in the state in Caden Turner, and then now, poof, voila, magically, they have maybe an even better linebacker.
Well, if you watch it, I'm not sure if how many people would go out and look at Huddle, or if they would go out and see check out this guy, but his name is Manny Powell. He is for Razorback fans, you'll recognize the name. He is a commit to the Razorbacks. He's from Canton, Ohio, I think. I know it's Ohio. I think it's Canton. At a really elite level of school there. But they had some trouble in their community, and not them, but they had some difficulties that were going on in their community, coaching turnover, all kinds of different things. So his mom said, let's go ahead and move to Fayetteville. So they moved to Fayetteville, and he's now their starting linebacker alongside Caden Turner, and he's only 6'2", 230, and I think a 4-star. I think he's a 4-star in Ohio. I mean, he's number 16. So when you see number 16, you'll go, yeah, that's the guy Tim was talking about. He'll stand out. They did lose a few other people though, Levi. When you look across their defense, they lost a few people, but they're really, really fast to the ball. Now, Greenwood in this scrimmage, the only game film we have is Greenwood. Yeah. But Greenwood's good, and Greenwood moved the ball on them. Now, again, are they showing everything? Probably not. But they got a chance to move. Their linebackers are really fast to the ball. If you can get them going the wrong way, if you can do a little misdirection, maybe a little eye candy across, maybe you can get them there. But their end is number 24, and I think he played last year, Levi, and I'm trying to remember.
Well, their whole defensive line, at least what we had projected last year, were seniors. But 24 for them a year ago was either Josh Thurman or Cross Garner.
I'll have to. There's no sound, and so I'll have to. But I will tell you this: I was very impressed by number 24 on the defensive end. They are tough from the outside. Where they got pressure to Greenwood was from the outside. Now it left some things in the middle, but they're thinking, okay, we're going to force you to go to the middle, and you'll run right into Caden Turner and Manny Powell. Yeah. So you got to figure out some pops. You got to get them either out of the middle, but you got to protect on the outside. And the thing is going to be for Donovan, if he starts again, I think he's the starter, is can he get rid of the ball in time? Can he make the right decisions? You can make a mistake against these guys, and they're going to take it to the house.
Man. I didn't think it was possible for me to be more excited, Tim.
Well, I'm super excited, but I'm nervous as all get out. I want us to win. We don't have to win this ball game. I know that deep down. I know that because it's not a conference game. I mean, everybody plays non-conference games, but I really want us to get going well. And I think it would be really good for our quarterback situation if we could win this first one. Then we get to turn around and go back up to Bentonville, and I don't know. They recruit well there, so.
All right. Well, hey, you can watch this matchup. We're going to be there. Tim's already said it. We'll be there live. We're making the trip for you. If you can come. We want you there. But if you can't come, Channel 5, Channel 585 on Conway Corp. You can watch it on YouTube as well. We will be there live, and pregame coverage starts at 6:30. And man, pretty pumped.
Here we go.
Time now for this week's Meet the Cats segment, and I definitely came up with that name all on my own. I've It's original. Never heard of Meet the Cats anywhere else. Joining us now is volleyball head coach Laura Crow. And Coach Crow, welcome to Six Legs.
Thanks, Levi.
So, Coach, I know the season hasn't officially jumped off in a proper way yet. You had your jamboree this past week, but just tell us what's happened so far and kind of get us caught up on what's going on with the start of the season.
Well, this year has already been quite a bit different than last year if we're comparing years. As we started out last year, of course, with COVID and everything, we were able to have our blue-white scrimmage. Our 7th grade teams weren't able to play. We did introduce them, and the rest of the teams were able to scrimmage. So this year, when we had our blue-white scrimmage at the volleyball showcase, all the teams were able to scrimmage, and seeing the arena with people in it again, I know it made me as a coach feel happy, and I know it had made the girls feel really excited and happy about the season. And so this past week we had our jamboree. We had Greenbrier, Bologna, and Cabot there. We didn't play Cabot, and Greenbrier didn't play Bologna because we're in the same conferences. So we just played 2 sets against Greenbrier, 2 sets against Bologna, and then our 2 team played 1 set against Cabot's 2 teams. So because they hadn't seen each other yet, and we thought that would be a good matchup for our younger crew, and they did really well. And so I'll say our kids did really well. The Greenbrier 2 sets were pretty tight. They have some really good hitters, really good offensive players, which was great for us. Their tempo of their offense is pretty fast. So that kind of gave our blockers a little test. Love that. And somehow we ended up pulling out in that first set against Greenbrier. They kind of had us there at the beginning, and we were able to win the second set. And then against Bologna, they've gotten a lot better. They have a pretty salty lefty on the right side, and she brought it offensively to us a little bit, but our kids were able to adjust and make some defensive changes and pick our balls up, and we were able to pull out those 2 sets. So we have 27 girls on the team, which is one of the largest teams we have had in a while. And so we are trying to add some sophomore, or we call them JVB matches. So those kids have a chance to play, get some experience on the court this year against teams that have large teams like we do. Looking forward to that. But our bench is deep, and we have some really good players this year. So I am super excited, and I know the girls are about kicking it off this week. So,
well, I'm excited too, just hearing you talk about it. I'm gonna jump in with one more question, and I'll let Tim jump in too. But I came to Meet the Cats a few weeks ago, and this was my first time to see the team. Obviously, I guess it's most people's first time, but you talked about how things feel a little bit more normal this year, and I imagine Meet the Cats was a perfect example of that. But how are you feeling overall, just about your team in general, and what you've got?
Well, we have some seniors. Several of them have seen significant playing time in the last 2 years prior to this year, so they have a lot of varsity court experience, which I think is going to be beneficial to us this season. We had 3 of them that have started for us as sophomores. That's kind of unheard of. That doesn't happen very often. So, but they are very good players, bring a lot of good leadership to the court. I've had parents of some of the younger players tell me, I just want you to know how good the seniors are being to the girls. They've really kind of welcomed them in. They're encouraging them on the court. Players that play certain positions, and if there's a younger player and they know some tips and secrets to that position, they're kind of showing them the ropes, and that makes me super proud of that senior class that we have. Our juniors are very, very strong, and our sophomore class is very strong, and that is why we have such a large number of girls on the team, is that the talent is really, really good. And so and they work hard every day. We've had some fun practices, we've had some hard practices, and they keep pushing. And every time we get a chance to play another team, we talk about things that we need to work on, things that we need to get better at. You know, what can we do to get where we need to be? And our goal is to be where we need to be at the end of October, you know, and try to get as many wins, you know, along the way as we can. But overall, you know, I mean, they have some high goals, and you know, it's just going to be figuring out who the best 6 are on the court at that time, and what's going to work best for us. So we tried a lot of different combinations.
I try not to have a favorite player every year. I try real hard. And so, but last year, Abby Masters was such a vocal leader. She was just a lot of energy. She brought a lot of energy. She was a very good player as well. But you could tell that she really, even when she was on the sidelines and the rotation out, but when she was on the court, she was really kind of, I don't know if she was your leader of the team, but she seemed to be that. Who plays that role for you this year? I know you got a lot of seniors and junior leaders out there, but who's kind of that person? Do you have
the fiery one?
Yeah, the fire one.
Yeah. You know, I don't know that there is another Abby. I mean, Abby just, her heart bled blue all the time, whether she was on the court, off the court. I think she probably cheered more while she was on the bench, looking at some of the pictures I've seen of her over there. But I know a lot of times our team tends to feed off of Kennedy Wyrick, and she's pretty fiery out there and feisty. And you know, I always tell Kennedy, you know, to be your height and to be all state, you know, as a hitter, I said, tells me something about your personality, because it doesn't happen very often, especially at the 6A level. So she's pretty feisty, you know, got a great vertical. She gets fired up, and she plays hard all the time. When she comes off of the court, you know, she reminds me of a player I coached a long time ago. She just, you know, she's leaving it all on the court. And so, you know, I'm looking for some big things from her this year as a leader.
Yeah, she's an interesting one to watch, because she, like you said, I mean, she's short for the position she plays, but she gets off the floor so well.
Yes.
But she, when she gets blocked, or she hits it out, you can tell the frustration that she has and how she's going to bring it on the next swing that she gets. But then likewise, if she gets on a roll, she's also going to bring the next one. So it's like every play, she brings something every play. So she's just, to your point, she's fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And you know, I mean, she's probably the most fiery one. Our other seniors, some of them are more quiet leaders. They're quiet encouragers. They do a great job. They get fired up every now and then. You know, but as far as like what the team feeds off of energy wise, you know, Kenny would be there, but all the girls contribute something. So I don't want them to feel like they're not.
No, I mean, Madison,
they absolutely are.
Yeah. So Madison in the middle, Olivia, on her serves are fantastic. Who's your setter? Who's your main setter this year?
That's a good question. Right now it is between Kinley Jordan, Emma Frazier, and Olivia Wiedauer. And you know, we're kind of looking at stats, looking at who you know, is playing the best defense, where we're getting the most points out of the rotation that they're in right now, trying to make some decisions using some numbers. They all three work extremely hard. They're all really smart girls on the court. You know, I remember a long time ago having a discussion with one of my assistant coaches, and we were discussing the setter position, which is kind of like the quarterback position or the point guard position, you know, in basketball. But, you know, we were talking about, you know, just certain players, this and that, and just being a smaller setter and one of the setters that we had. And I said, but the team just plays better when she's on the court. Like, if you look at the numbers and the points that we get in the rotations that she's in there, the team just plays better. And so I think we're going to have to get a few matches under our belt before decisions are made there. You know, we've got some good pre-conference matches that we'll be able to look at stats and things like that for those three girls. And who's to say, it's like I always tell them in practice, you can beat anybody out, guys. It's not your position for the whole year. So it might be your position for right now, but who knows what's going to happen.
So who's the strength? You talked about the competition that you have, and it seems like it's a little bit like some of the other sports as well, where the power shifts from Northwest Arkansas to Central Arkansas and then back and forth. You've got South Side that's always tough, and a couple of the other teams. Who's the power? Where's the strength in your schedule in the conference? Where do you think it is this year?
In the Central Conference?
In Central.
North Little Rock always brings it to us every time we play them. That's always a battle. We played Cabot at team camp a few weeks ago, and they actually beat us. In the past few years, Cabot has really taken off. Anna's done a great job there coaching them, and they've gotten some players that are real involved playing year-round volleyball, playing club volleyball in the spring, and you can tell in their program what's going on there with that team. I mean, they're just growing and learning the game more. So that'll be a good game. And we actually play them in, let's see, I think I wrote it down, 3 weeks. We'll open conference with Little Rock Southwest on a Thursday. Yeah. So we have 2 weeks to prepare, and we're going to Bentonville this weekend. That'll be helpful to us to see some teams up there.
Do you get to play? Are there any tournaments, preseason tournaments at all this year?
Well, yeah, this Friday we'll leave to go to Bentonville, and we play all day Saturday.
Oh, do you? Okay.
Yeah, so there'll be some good teams there from out of state. Blue Spring South, they're really good from Kansas City. Then Greenwood, obviously, they were the champs last year in 5A. And Rogers are all in our pool for that tournament. So I always like going up there because Harbor's at that tournament. Of course, you can see Bentonville West. North Little Rock will actually be there, so we'll get to scout them if we don't get to play them before we see them in conference. Who else was there? And did I mention Harbor?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so Harbor's always kind of a powerhouse there. And then next Tuesday, we'll head to, a week from tomorrow, we'll head to Fayetteville and play up there. And from what everybody's talking about, who's graduated who and things like that, they're saying Fayetteville is going to be pretty good this year. So we're anxious to go play that game and kind of see what they have. So
gotcha. Well, it's always, I was going to say, Levi, it's always intense. I'm not sure how many volleyball games you've seen, but last year I got to do it PA from up top. It was not a place that I really liked to be, because if you and I encourage people to come out and watch volleyball, because you think, well, football's intense, it's basketball's up and down the court. If you get a good rally in volleyball, there's nothing like it. And being courtside again this year doing the PA is going to be so much fun for me, because I get to see Coach Crow and Coach Face do their thing, because there's probably not a set of more intense people on the court than Coach Crow and Coach Face, and I can tell you personally, it's a good game.
Well, we like having you courtside.
It's a lot of fun.
Well, hey, I was UCA from 2006 to 2010, and the Sugar Bears were on such a run during those 4 years, and then obviously continued on. They've had so much success the last more than a decade, and it was probably my most favorite thing to do. I mean, I loved going and watching the Bears play football and baseball and basketball, all that stuff, but man, watching volleyball in the Prince Center was just one of my favorite things to do in college. And one of the reasons I'm excited to start this show is just getting more exposure to other sports here at Conway High. So I'm definitely gonna be watching some more volleyball this year for sure.
Awesome. It's fun, and the girls are good. I tell them that all the time. I wish more people would come out and come to our games. When I first started at Conway, it's been a long time ago. We played in the old gym, which is hot in August, and it's such a good little playing atmosphere, though, kind of like the Prince Center. And it's very intimidating to teams that come in. but now we're used to the air conditioning in the arena, and that's kind of nice. But we did have a good little crowd the other night at the Jamboree, and they were a lot of fun. I know the girls probably enjoyed having them there, and Bologna brought a little student section with them, so it was pretty loud in there and exciting. So
first game is Tuesday against who?
We go to Russellville Tuesday.
Russell. And then Thursday is for your first home game, and who you play?
We play Benton at home, and we played Benton at camp, and it was kind of like that set with Greenbrier. I don't know how we pulled it out at the end, but we did. They have some awesome hitters on their team. That will be a great match to come watch at home. So I would encourage anybody to come out that night. You definitely will get to see some good volleyball.
I agree.
Yeah, all you Lady Cat fans watching or listening to this, Thursday, Benton, be there. Coach Crow, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate you guys. Levi and Tim, y'all are awesome.
Thanks, Coach.
Before we close out this week's episode of Six Legs, I'm going to have a little bit of fun here with the segment I like to call Fill in the Blank. So this is how it works, Tim. We're going to make a statement.
Okay.
And there's going to be a blank.
Okay. So far it makes sense to me, by the way.
All right. That's it. Pretty simple. Three statements. 3 statements. Fill in the blank. No multiple choice. All right. The first one, and I'll let you go first. Okay.
Okay.
The better running back nickname is
Boogie Carr.
You got 2 options here, right?
It's Boogie or who?
Or Lala.
No. Okay. Boogie. Now, I love Lala. Don't get me wrong. He's going to be fun. You're going to get to hear him a lot. Boogie Carr. I told my story. I love the Boogie Carr story.
Yeah. Oh, man. It's a pretty good one. It's pretty good. And I would probably agree. But come on. Lala? It sounds like it's got like lullaby rings to it, you know? I can just see him, the big bruiser, rocking people to sleep.
Yeah, no.
And then just smashing them.
Well, he's not going to rock them to sleep. He may knock them to sleep.
Knock them to sleep.
Can absolutely go. I love me some Lala, but I got to go with Boogie.
Okay. All right. I want to learn basketball skills from blank. Now, we mentioned at the top of the show, got a basketball skills clinic coming up between 2 Lady Cat greats. I would like to learn basketball skills from.
Do I get to say first again?
Yes, you go first.
Alexis Tolfree. I'll tell you why. Her range is somewhere when she walks on the court. She can let it go from anywhere on the court. I want to be able to do that. I want to walk just inside the out of bounds line and be able to let it fly like her. She's fantastic at rid of the ball.
Listen, I totally get it because everyone wants to be Steph Curry, right? Who doesn't?
Just shoot the ball.
Who doesn't want to be Steph Curry? But
Jordan.
But I want to be an assassin like Jordan Danbury. I want to be Chris Paul out there, getting in the lanes, kicking it out, distributing. I mean, there's really no wrong answer here. Seriously, if you haven't signed up for this camp coming up, it's on the 29th. Please do. I mean, this is insane. It's just absolutely insane. All right, last one, and I'll go. Oh man, I wish I would have thought about this. I'll go first. I'm gonna make myself answer on the spot. The first Conway touchdown is scored by blank. Now you said you already had one, so this could be dangerous with me going first.
Yeah.
I really have a feeling. The easy answer is to go on offense, right? I mean, come on. But man, I've got a feeling about Ashton Waller, man. You talked about it earlier. I'm going defense here. Ball hawk. They forced 4 turnovers against Morrilton. And Ashton Waller, what did he end up with? Like 3-4 picks last year? Maybe it was 6. I don't remember.
At least, yeah.
I got a feeling. I feel like I've called this before, an Ashton Waller interception, and he just couldn't quite close the deal. I want to get there. I'm going defense.
Yeah. See, so just so you know, I was going to go with Traylon McClure.
Oh, Okay. See, yeah.
So here we are with one of the most high-powered offenses in the state. We're both going to go with defense. Well, so I love Traylon McClure to pick 6, but I will tell you, if everything is right in the world, it's Manny Smith.
Manny Smith, no doubt.
Manny Smith from about 60, making about 7 guys miss. Manny Smith. I'm going to go Manny Smith.
That will make my heart happy, but I got to say, we're on to something. If we both have a feeling
it's weird,
it's going to be a defensive touchdown. I like where that's headed. Now, hopefully, we don't go down 14-0 in the first quarter.
No.
Yeah. But if we do, then we're probably going to score 38 unanswered points. Oh, that's going to do it for Fill in the Blank. Before we head out this week, let's go ahead and look at the week ahead. A lot of big things happening for your Wampus Cats and Lady Cats this week, starting with volleyball tonight at Russellville. And then on Thursday, volleyball back in action again, playing host to Benton. Tim Roach will be there doing the PA. Some other big things on Thursday, tennis at Van Buren, both teams. Got some 7th grade football, junior high volleyball going on. And then, of course, Friday. It's the show on Friday. No other events. Your Wampus Cats heading to Fayetteville to open the 2021 football season.
Pack your cooler, get in the car, and drive up there. But you can watch us on YouTube while you're at the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, and if you are driving up and you're going to make a weekend of it, which just so happens, that's what my family's going to be doing. Saturday, go check out volleyball in the Bentonville tournament, because there's going to be some good stuff going on in that neck of the woods. All right, let's close out the show, Tim, with what I would like to call our parting shots. So, one big thought for the week ahead. I got to imagine it probably has to do with that lemon-shaped ball.
The lemon-shaped ball. Fayetteville, Conway, powerhouses. Go Wampus Cats. We're going to win.
Yeah. Parting shot. It's got to be football. I mean, I'm excited. I feel like I should be really nervous in this situation with what's going on with that quarterback. But I got to say, what I saw in Meet the Cats, what I saw at Morrilton, I hate that this happened for Greg, but I'm excited for the skill set that Donovan brings to the table. And it's really going to come down to that run game. Man, if they can give him some relief and that offensive line can give him some time, I think he's going to make some good decisions. And you got so many weapons. Defense, just eliminate the big play. So, Fayetteville,
let's go.
Here we come, man.
Let's go.
Oh, wow. Hey, that's going to do it for this week's 6 Legs. Remember, if you like what you saw and heard today and you want to support this type of local content, please go to patreon.com/6legs and contribute directly if you can. There's a few different tier options on there, including the ability to interact directly with the show. So if you want to submit comments, questions, concerns, whatever it may be, you can do that through there. And some other stuff on there as well. Please, if you can't contribute, that's okay. We still like you too. But please, subscribe, rate it, share it with other Wampus Cat fans in your life, because we had a good time doing this. We want you to get in on it as well. So, Tim, thank you, sir.
Enjoyed it, sir.
Until next week, go Cats.
Wampus Cats.